Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we ask the question, how would Guilliman react to confirmed traitor gene seed successors? General spoiler warning to begin, as we will be discussing events from across the Warhammer 40k universe, so you have been warned. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Apologies if the voice breaks a little today guys, the missus has come down with the plague of Nurgle, and my Fenrisian spirit is doing its best to fend it off. Now at the start of the week, we discuss successor chapters founded on Traitor Gene Seed, the possible secret legacy of the Traitor Primarchs and their legions. And as we discussed then, the truth is it may be a secret that goes much further back than Belisarius Caul's Ultima founding, with many rumours and hints out there regarding certain chapters. However, it is of course Belisarius who has certainly brought it back into our minds, with his request to Guilliman to use the gene seed of the Traitor Primarchs as well. So the question is today, how would Guilliman react if this secret was revealed? If Belisarius had been working with the Traitor gene seed all along, how would Guilliman react if he met, say, the Sons of the Phoenix chapter, and it was clear they were the sons of his brother Fulgrim? Well, as always, this is just going to be my opinion here, but I think the personality and nature of Guilliman would come into play a great deal in his reaction. Now firstly, with Belisarius himself, Guilliman would be obviously beyond furious, and I have no doubt Caul would immediately find himself as the most wanted man within the Imperium, finding himself summoned to the Primarch's presence. However, Caul has notoriously been hard to locate, and even ignored the Primarch's requests or orders at times. And honestly, I think he'd do exactly the same here. Belisarius is no fool. He just has a humongous ego. There's no doubt he would prefer to keep the irate Primarch at a distance, hoping he would eventually calm down after the initial shock. So after some time and excuses for not receiving communications, I could definitely see Belisarius engage Guilliman in communication, just not in person. But I think this would be the situation in which Belisarius finally overreaches, and there's little doubt he'd find a fleet arriving on his doorstep to drag him before the Primarch. Surely even Belisarius Caul wouldn't try resisting against, say, Custodes, the true servants of the Emperor. And let's be real here, Guilliman's anger would be so irate, he'd possibly go straight for Belisarius himself. Now, once having Belisarius before him, I certainly don't see Guilliman keeping his temper in check, and Caul would obviously find himself being verbally berated. And if it were a few other Primarchs, I'd expect Belisarius to be unceremoniously executed. But for all Guilliman's anger, I just can't see him executing Caul. I more envisage him talking himself out of it by rationalising all the good that Caul has done. Let's be real here, he is the man ultimately responsible for the creation of the Primaris Marines, and all the good that has come along with them. And Guilliman could even look to his own Armour of Fate, which again is a Belisarius Caul creation. So if you're not going to execute him, what can you do with him? You can't really confine him to a prison exactly, and you can't banish him from the Imperium. Quite simply, Belisarius is too useful, especially with his research into the Black Stone. and I think that would be Belisarius's bargaining chip. He is working on counteracting the Cicatrix Maledictum itself, trying to rid the galaxy of the scar that tears it in half. So I'm not entirely sure what Guilliman would do here. Maybe some form of constant guard, keeping a permanent custodes watch by Call's side, or maybe forcing him to remain upon Guilliman's flagship itself. I'm really not too sure what the exact consequences for Belisarius would be, other than the fact I really don't believe Guilliman would kill him. And the factor we haven't mentioned yet is Belisarius is an extremely powerful figure within the Adeptus Mechanicus. While he may not be Fabricator General, he does have a huge following. So that's another diplomatic boundary that Guilliman needs to be careful about. Just because they're loyal to the Omnissiah doesn't mean they're against opposing the Primarch. Now for the Traitor Geneseed chapters, however, I really want to say he would order Exterminatus on every single homeworld, having their chapters destroyed to a man. And honestly, when I first sat down to write out my thoughts on this, that's exactly what I decided. That Guilliman could not suffer these chapters to exist, and so Exterminatus was the only solution. And I still think he would strongly consider doing that, undoubtedly being his immediate reaction. However, the more I thought about it, the more I just can't see it happening. At times this would seem the foregone action for this new age Guilliman, who has felt very dark at periods with his despair within this new Imperium. But that is why it wouldn't happen, because Guilliman's despair is firmly rooted within his humanity. I could quite easily see Guilliman acquiring the full list of Traitor Primarch founding chapters, ordering them all to convene with him within some remote system somewhere, only then realizing the atrocity of mirroring his brother Horus's actions upon Istvan. The beauty of Guilliman is his humanity, with all its flaws and imperfections included. He still mourns the loss of his brothers, so seeing himself walking down that same path of actions that Horus took, regardless of his intentions, there's no way he would allow himself to do it. Despite the heritage of these chapters, he wouldn't be able to bring himself to eradicate them, whether it being his own conscience or reflecting upon the words of his father, talking of redemption still a possibility for his lost brothers. I think these chapters would be kept in service to the Imperium, the secret of their dark heritage buried from the chapters themselves and from the wider Imperium. Now, would they be left alone entirely? No. Guilliman wouldn't be able to take that risk. Regardless of their current intents, they still have a dark heritage, and there would absolutely be some form of constant Inquisition surveillance. The second any sign of heresy or taint was detected, the full wrath of the Inquisition would descend upon the chapter. But in this way, the loyal servants of the Emperor continue to serve, and in a time where every single soldier is needed, that perhaps represents the best of the Imperium. There still remains the path for redemption. And Guilliman perhaps, although unexpected, gets to see the sons of his brothers as they were, and as they were meant to be. Angels of death for the Emperor of mankind. So perhaps in some way, this betrayal by Belisarius would in a roundabout way bring some kind of solace to Guilliman himself. But as always guys, what do you think? How do you think Guilliman would react to this secret being exposed? How would he deal with Belisarius? And how would he deal with the chapters themselves? Would he eradicate them entirely, not being able to take the risk? Or do you feel like me, that his humanity would simply prevent him from doing so? That once he saw these loyal chapters with no ounce of heresy in their hearts, would he still be able to walk the same dark path his brother Horus did? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. But with that said, I am off and I'll see you all again real soon.